Yeah, I'm here.
All right, excellent. All right, so now we are officially live for the first what we're going to call the Duke postgame report. It is a working title, so bear with us, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ritz Martinovic. I am here with my buddy Eric Russman, and together we were part of the Duke Graduate Student Basketball Committee. And we'll also be joined later on in the show by Justin, who is also part of the Duke Basketball Committee, and he will be joining us for some commentary specifically around Zion Williamson and some of the injuries that we're going to see. But basically, welcome to the show. There's a lot of moving parts to this. We're going to try to essentially soft launch this thing tonight. Granted, we did just have a good win over the weekend, but basically what this is imagine this is a combination of SportsCenter, First Take, Pardon the Interruption, if you will, and so on, right? It's two folks, sometimes more, because we're going to have guests talking about sports, specifically talking about Duke, and that is basically where the similarities end, right? So we are testing out this theory that it is okay to be 100% biased in your sports commentary, and in this case, we will be 100% biased in our Duke sports commentary. So we're going to experiment with this new format, specifically built around community, specifically built around the Duke community, and one that's going to put the viewers in the center of the action. So instead of like watching SportsCenter and just watching two people talk and blabber on all the time, you guys will get to actually interact with us, ask us questions, change the topics of the conversation, or change how the conversation goes as we work through it. So because we have the power of the Twitch chat and the extensions, we think this is going to be a lot more interactive than just watching like two talking heads going on and on about whatever the heck happened in sports on that given day. Also, there's going to be no commercials. We slated these episodes for about 30 minutes or so. But no commercials, and we'll see where the conversation goes. And we will be completely unapologetic about our Duke biases, especially around our hate for Carolina. Although we will try to keep it family friendly for the future Blue Devils. If you bleed Duke blue, this is about as fair and balanced as it's going to get. And yeah, so what this isn't, just so we lay it all out there, this is not a finished product. We're going to hopefully, help. We want you guys to help us build this and to help us grow this and actually see what this can become, right? So um, we have a sense that sports has a home and a future on Twitch, and we're going to try to see if we can make that happen. So we're going to try to constantly improve this, give us feedback, let us know what you guys think, and we're going to try to turn the lamestream media industry upside down, okay? So before we do that, I have been instructed by my lawyer, or rather Eric and I have been instructed by our lawyers to read out a statement to make sure we don't get into any trouble while we're doing this. So Eric, if you please.
Yeah. So we both hold bachelor's and master's degrees from Duke University. I was a line monitor in undergrad, both leadership positions on the graduate basketball committee. This work was purely on a volunteer basis, and neither of us was compensated for our time by either the university nor the athletic department. This show is not sponsored by either Duke University, the Nicholas School of the Environment, the Fuqua School of Business, Duke Athletic Department, nor the Iron Dukes. All opinions stated in the show are our own, also not investment advice. Just kidding.
Yes. Anyway.
Okay, that's enough, Rich. Roll the hype.
All right, so here we go. Ready? This is going to be like a sports center. So we just beat Syracuse and our intro video. Here we go. Ready? And for all the Cameron crazies out there, you're going to know this really well. So here we go.
I still hear your voice when you sleep next to me. I still feel your touch in my dream. Forgive me my weakness, but I don't know why. Without you, it's hard to survive. 'Cause every time we touch, I get this feeling, and every time we kiss, I swear I could fly. Can't you feel my heart beat fast? I want this to last. Need you by my side. 'Cause every time we touch, I feel the static, and every time
Okay, how about now? Actually, okay, we are back. Now we are back because I keep screwing the thing up on the audio. So I told you there's a lot of moving parts to this. We're gonna fix it. This is why we're doing the test run. So now this should be fixed. Okay, and I think we are fixed. Yes, back. Okay. Anyway, so we had a game on Saturday, Eric. It was a good game. It was pretty nip and tuck the entire way through, really, until the second half. So the first part of this is we're going to run through the highlights for you. These are extended highlights. These are completely Duke biased highlights. There is no like Syracuse, oh, good play here. No, none of that stuff. This is Duke focused, okay, and we're gonna run through these highlights as if we're like, granted, everyone has seen this, but we're gonna run through it. So, all right, we're gonna swap over to this guy, and there's our highlight video, and we're gonna do that. And we're going to run through it. So obviously a big night in the Carrier Dome here. A lot of emotions running high. We would be remiss if we didn't mention, of course, Jim Boeheim and the tragic accident. And here, of course, biggest attendance on record at a Duke game, actually at a college basketball game entirely. And we're going to go ahead and get started here. Not much going on in the first part, except for this really nice layup by R.J. Barrett, who finally manages to get into the paint and actually be a man to put us up. Joey Baker then makes an appearance for the first time. And,
burning the red shirt.
Yeah, burning the red shirt, right, but gets a nice rebound. So we're going to come back to this one because it's actually quite interesting what's going to happen. On this play, Javin goes up for the alley-oop right over Chukwu, and I love the reaction by Jim Boeheim here. So not only is this an amazing alley-oop, but Jim Boeheim's like, what are you doing? You are way taller than this kid, and he's just jumping over you into the rim. Well played by Javin on this one. We're going to have a nice... okay, this little sequence here, another block by Javin. He's just been playing great defense. I have to say, in the absence of Zion Williamson, Javin DeLaurier actually stepped up in this game. Maybe not a lot of points, but definitely really good. So here is the block by Joey Baker, and this is the block that I almost lost my mind. Okay, so we don't usually stop the highlights, but look, I'm going to stop this for a second because look at this. Joey goes up. He's going to block. Okay, this is not goaltending. This is a clean block. And what happens? The refs are actually going to call this they're going to call that a foul and give Syracuse the free throws. I lost my freaking mind because this one, I mean, help me, buddy, because
it definitely in game speed, it kind of looks like a foul. And also, I think that they called it because of, if you watch Joey Baker's right leg, he's kind of makes body contact with him on the backside. It's unclear, but like if depending on if the ref under the baseline is calling that, he sees Joey Baker's right knee collide with his side of his body, which is extremely light contact, and he definitely blocked the shot before. But depending on where the ref is, that could definitely be misconstrued. Like, yeah, in the slow motion camera angle here, like, no way is that a foul. But if you watch it, he does hit his leg though. But
oh my God! In any case, Syracuse is going to go into the locker room up 5. Okay, and so we're looking good. We're a second half team. You're up 5. You're at home. All right. Anyway, first play out of the half. We're going to switch this little flash by Trey Jones, who's going to get free throws on this one. A nice place next on the ensuing possession. R.J. Barrett taking it up strong, and then right here on the following possession, again they're going to flash Trey Jones into the center, and he's going to get these 2 points here. We're going to look take an in-depth look at this play later and how you can bust the zone. So on this one, Javin goes up once. Nope, he's going to get denied again, but the effort by the big man is going to kick it out to Alex O'Connell, who had an amazing night, and this is his third or fourth. No fear, exactly. His third or fourth three-pointer of the night. He's going to go for 5 three-pointers in a game, career-high 20 points. RJ with the flex on this, and Duke, we are finally starting to pull away. 6 points here, although we actually can't go much more because Syracuse is going to end up getting this blocked. But here comes Trey, and okay, that was going to be a block by Syracuse, but we cut it out because, right, we're not doing any Syracuse highlights. So this possession comes in. This is just good defense right here by Cam Reddish. He's going to deny the baseline, make sure that this guy cannot get there. there. They're going to get the pass. He's going to come over, and Javin is going to block this. And this is going to be a nice play. Just really good, solid Duke defense. Cam Reddish, maybe not as many points, but strong defensively. In here, this guy is going to swing it out with a fake, who puts the Syracuse defender into the Duke bench on this one. And Zion is loving it. I am loving it. I went crazy. Look at this. RJ's he's gonna fake it to O'Connell in the corner. The guy's ankles are completely shattered, and this guy is gonna drain it. Duke by 5 at this point. And on the next play, Alex O'Connell's gonna come up with a steal. Syracuse trying to intentionally foul, but no chance. Alex O'Connell with the dunk to put a highlight on his 20-point night. And here again on the following possession, strong rebound by Cam. Up ahead to Trey. Trey looking. RJ, yes! RJ Barrett with the dunk. Zion loves it. The bench loves it. I love it. Duke by 9, and it's big, man. At this point, we've sort of broken the game open. Syracuse, who had been so close the entire time, look at this beauty. Just going up for it. The Maple Mamba with a beauty. And at this point, that Syracuse had been so close, Syracuse would come no closer than about 4 points left at this point, and we're just going to end up cleaning this up. Bit of a heart attack moment here. RJ Barrett loses his shoe, as if the Duke faithful haven't had enough of Nike shoes in the past 3 days. I mean, this was a bit of a scary one. They're going to buy some time. RJ's going to get it back. Marquise here is going to get the offensive rebound to extend the possession. Later on the possession, Marquise is going to get rewarded. RJ Barrett with a beautiful assist, and Marquise to slam at home. This puts us up
Great
7. Great ball movement. That puts us up 7. We end up hitting a couple free throws by AOC, Trey, and Marquise, of all people, to bring it home and just finish out the night. Duke ends up winning the game by 10 points, and for their 7th road win in a row. And here, Duke is now the only remaining team that is unbeaten on the road in the country. At all, everything. So super impressive. 7-0 on the road this season in true road games, and actually all of them have been ACC games because we don't end up playing that many road games away from home early on in the season. But Eric, your thoughts on the game overall?
I mean, I thought it was a great response. I mean, especially earlier in the week without Zion, I mean, that was kind of the big question lingering over this game was, how we were going to respond. And then also traveling all the way to Syracuse, with the kind of the shadow of the last time we played them in Cameron and lost, kind of lingering over this. And we were also down, one of our top freshmen, or actually down 2. So there was kind of like this double whammy of circumstances leading into this game. Like, where are we going to respond, and how would we play without Zion? And I thought we did a great job. I mean, Coach K definitely changed up the lineup a little bit. Inserting Joey Baker to start, Alex Connell to start, Jack White not playing at all. But I thought all the role players stepped up to finally kind of do the roles like we kind of expect them to. And it kind of all came together for us to honestly handle a Syracuse team that's been surging as of late. I mean, they just took down some pretty good teams in the last couple of weeks. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good performance. I thought we handled the zone well. I thought we defended Tyus Battle pretty well. The first game he dropped 32 points on us. And holding Tyus Battle, we held him to 16 this game, which is good. He's one of the leading scorers in the ACC. So yeah, I think we handled it pretty well, and it was a tough environment to play in. I mean, Syracuse obviously had a large crowd. Maybe they weren't super hostile as a crowd, but it was definitely kind of a weird situation because of some other extenuating circumstances that was going on. Because of Coach Boeheim having an incident where he, I guess, killed the guy accidentally, which is very unfortunate. But that was also kind of a thing lingering over this game, and I believe they had a moment of silence before the game to honor the guy who died. That's kind of stressful for a visiting team to come into and have to be a part of. So I don't know. I thought it was a good response after the stuff that's happened over the last couple of days.
Yeah, and Coach K mentioned that the reception and the programming around how they did that at Syracuse was really nice, and you would expect nothing less from a class act in Boeheim and a class program that he's built over the years at Syracuse. So, but the games that we have played at versus Syracuse. I think 4 of the last 5 games had been decided essentially by 4 points or less. We had just lost to them in a bit of a bizarre circumstances at home with the injuries, right? But yeah, I think as you said, important that the role players really stepped up. And I wanted to highlight one of them, in particular, was Alex O'Connell with his career high 20 points tonight. We refer to him really as a role player, but he got the start in this game. And if you listen to his interview with RJ Barrett afterwards, he said, "quote, I was ready to go from the rip." And it shows. And so here we go. So these are the AOC highlights from the night, and we can see this is his first 3-pointer. He's always ready. It's a catch and shoot. So we got the AOC point counter up in the right-hand corner. This is another one that he's going to get. Alex is calling for it over there by the Duke bench, and he's going to drain this one too. So this is his second one. The third one that we saw as part of the main highlight reel, he gets rewarded here. This is actually an and one. This is a 4-point play. And so he ends up going 5 for 9 from 3-point range. He adds a 2-pointer with the dunk and then 3 free throws to get his 20. Another just beautiful one with RJ in the middle collapsing that zone and then getting it out. Kick out to O'Connell. That was his third. So this is going to be, there we go. And that's going to be number 5, I believe, for Alex here over in the corner. So and then this is just going to be icing on the cake at this point. This is his dunk. It's a nice cap off for him. So just a great game overall for Alex. And, there was you sent me at halftime. No, it was about 10 minutes left in the game. You sent me a picture of the shot chart from this game. And I didn't actually bring it up, but basically all of Syracuse's points were in the paint. So definitely the lack of Zion Williamson and the offensive rebounding. We went into halftime being out-rebounded, 10 offensive boards for Cuse. And one of the things that got me was that, and because this isn't a highlight, we didn't include it, but there was a series of 4 straight possessions where we ended up shooting the 3-ball. And there's even one where Tyus Jones basically... Trey Jones. Oh, yeah, Tyus is his brother. Trey Jones, basically, he thinks about shooting it, then he doesn't shoot it. He thinks about shooting it again, doesn't shoot it, and then he finally shoots it a third time. And at this point, this is just like not a confident shot. It misses by a mile. And then they basically said, we are 325th in the nation in 3-point. I mean, as a Duke fan, you were just going like, where is this stat coming from, right? Like 300, there's like 360 teams in Division One. We're 325th.
Yeah, no, it's not your typical, historical Duke shooting team. That's for sure.
But this goes into Joey. Okay, let's talk about Joey Baker for a second, because there hasn't been that much either in the media or with the players as to like what actually transpired so that he would enter the game here.
Yeah, it's intriguing. I haven't, obviously a lot of people wrote about, like it was the headline almost that, the word burn his red shirt was thrown out there so many times, across social media and stuff and talking about it, but no one really I don't think anybody I didn't see where anybody asked the question of, I didn't see it in the post game press conference with Coach K where somebody asked the question like what led to that. It's interesting. I mean, he was. I just assumed he was redshirting the whole year, and like Duke hasn't had a redshirt player in a while. That not one I can remember. I guess from an injury, but
yeah, from
not like a planned recruit. He left high school early, and he was essentially planned to be a redshirt. Basically has an extra year of practicing as under Coach K under his belt instead of playing practicing in high school for another year, but ends up getting the same amount of years to play. It's a very surprising move. I mean, he played for 5 minutes. I think it was his total playing time.
Yeah, he played for the 5 minutes, 2 rebounds, 1 turnover, and the block that should have been a block that wasn't a block.
Yeah.
That craziness. I have a thought that Coach in the post game said that he's one of our better shooters. And you got to think that with being 325th in the nation in 3-point shooting, we got to look for shooting wherever it comes. I don't know if it'd be interesting to see what happens when we go to Virginia Tech tomorrow night. Does he get some more minutes? If he starts hitting some threes, then that's kind of like the missing piece for this Duke team, right? Because we're really good inside. We can shoot a mid-range jump shot, whether that's for Trey, whether that's for RJ, and Zion's just going to finish at the rim. So like, whatever. It's just going to happen. But like, if you can get a consistent 3-point shot, which is what we've been missing, I mean, this team has weapons like crazy.
It's something that's intriguing because I mean, like O'Connell, obviously coming out of high school, he's the same thing we always hear. Like he's also an excellent shooter, and like like in past seasons or his first season, he would come in spurts and like for like a minute he'd hit a three and like be taken out again. I mean, he's an excellent shooter, but like I guess a lot of people can shoot threes, but it's like I think you hit the nail on the head. It's like, is it consistency? Can you do it? Across throughout games and with pressure and stuff like that. I mean, he hit 5 threes in this game. He was no more or less open than he's been in other games.
Right.
And same thing for Jack White. Jack White used to maybe take 6 threes over the course of the game this season when he was playing a decent amount of minutes, and he was actually like hitting 3 or 4 of them. But then that dropped off big time, and I think I don't really know if I haven't heard that much before, but it could just be a mental thing, hence why he didn't play at all today. And, Joey Baker played, and maybe it's just like one of those kind of Kickstarter moves the coach makes, use the guy who's putting in the effort in practice and maybe getting it done in practice. And it kind of, is like takes a spotlight off of Jack White for a game or a week so he can kind of reset and hopefully he comes back, more on fire. Because it was a surprising drop off. I mean, Jack White always puts in, incredible effort. He makes up for it defensively and rebounding and stuff. But, it's just some of the games we were just, like one game we shot like 9 for 43. It's like, I mean, even if you hit the average, typical, like what's considered an average person who should be a point guard or shooting guard should be able to at least hit 30 to 33%. And that's where all of our players are hovering. I think RJ Barrett's slightly higher than that. But when you look at other teams where they usually have at least, 2 shooters, if you will, that are, around 40 to 45%, which is like insane. But I mean, that's like what UNC has. So, we don't have a shooter. We have guys that can shoot threes, compared to like, I guess, a center or something. But, it's nothing that I would define as a shooter. But
Yep. We have a question from the chat from B. Russman 44. What about Barrett's repeated lob attempts that never seem to work and were basically a turnover? We're actually going to get to this right now because we're going to do an in-depth dive into some of the plays and one of these specifically. So B. Russman, thank you for the question. So we're going to jump into it. One thing before we go into that though, RJ Barrett with the 30 points tonight, he is 64 points shy of tying the Duke freshman record set by Marvin Bagley with 694 points last season. So with like 5 regular season games to go, plus the ACC tournament, plus the NCAA tournament, RJ Barrett is 64 points away. So I think he's going to crush that record.
He'll probably get it, yeah.
I think he's going to get it. But as was mentioned by B. Russman in the chat, there were some very, very questionable plays here by Duke at times. So let's break this down here, and we're gonna go slow. So we got the game film here, and we got our trusty set of highlighters. So this is one of the plays that actually worked. All right. Like I said, we don't do the non-highlights, the lowlights, but essentially what they're trying to do here, we're gonna set up. We got Cam, so we got Trey here at the top. Cam's over here. RJ Barrett in the middle of the zone. And this is exactly where you want to be in order to try to beat the zone, right? You want to get somebody in the middle of the zone, and you want to try to get that zone to collapse. Because what's going to happen here is we have Javin on this side on the baseline. He's basically, and at this point, he's behind the zone. So you can do either two things. You can try to beat the zone. You can try to shoot it up. You can try to get somebody in the middle into that paint area, or you can try to flatten it or beat it from behind. So in this case, Javin is going to be behind, and this lob actually ends up working out. So if we run this thing to full speed right now, we're going to see that Trey Jones is going to come up here, and Javin is calling for it. So he's going to give it to RJ. RJ's going to come out. Javin's calling for it, and this is the one where he goes up and just and drills it here. So my video stopped for a sec. Yeah, go ahead.
So the reason why this one works is because Chukwu is out of position. He forgets
All right, so
where
let's
Jav is.
highlight Chuku here for the folks. So
At this moment right now, the zone is exactly where it should be.
yep,
At the two guys at the top of the key, you have one guy with his hand kind of halfway in the passing lane between Jones and Cam Reddish. Down on the bottom right is that Boeheim's kid. Boeheim kid
yep,
is he's
right
put
here.
up enough so that if they were to pass to O'Connell, he's right there. And they're I forgot who the other guy is. The top right of Syracuse, he's like fronting RJ Barrett to at least protect that direct pass. And Chuku, at this point, he knows where Jav is. And if Trey Jones were to try to make that pass from there, all the way back, then Chuku would be able to slide down and would be right there. So problem is on the next pass when they rotate.
All right, so now so RJ Barrett's going to come out and rotate. Okay, so you
Boom,
have Chuku
right there.
right here.
See,
All right.
Chuku can no longer see Jav. He's assuming that he hasn't moved.
Okay.
And the timing is that he throws this pass before Chuku does one of those quick double checks, shoulder dives, and at that point Chuku should be dropping back a little bit to kind of be more in the line between say Jav and.
So you want Chuku to move up here.
He said he would actually be back a step with
Okay.
1 foot out, 1 foot outside the paint a little bit, and then 1 foot in, so he doesn't get defensive 3 seconds.
Okay. And so then Barrett is going to take advantage of this, and he's going to actually put this one up, and it's going to go right over Chuku. And this was the one that Boeheim just can't believe he lets this in. But so this is one of the ones that worked, right? So they try this play 3 or 4 other times, and it's like Reddish is trying it, RJ tries it again, and unfortunately those do result in turnovers, as B. Russman pointed out. So it was well intended, poorly executed. But you got to believe that if he had put Zion in there and he was on the receiving end of the lobs, we might have had a different outcome.
Right. I mean, Javin can definitely get up there. I think prior to Zion coming there, Javin, won the Duke does with their iron belt. Whoever's the strongest weightlifter. He was the one that won it before Grayson Allen started winning it all the time. I mean, Jav can definitely jump. The problem with lobs, there's a lot of parts that have to go right. There's, in addition to just actually making the pass in the right location where a person can grab it and dunk it, that has to happen. You have to catch it cleanly, and the timing of your jump has to be, clean. Whereas if you're just going up and catching a pass, maybe coming down and going back up with it. I mean, and these players, they practice lobs and stuff. They generally have, a feel for how that should work and stuff. But I mean, yeah, if you knocked one out, it's okay to do one. Maybe the third and fourth time, maybe just come down with the pass and try to go back up with it. But it also does, knocking out the first one does help, because then it makes Chuku have to think. Because you see in this freeze frame right here, now Jav is basically in the same place that he was, but see how Chuku's a full foot back. He's actually in the defensive semicircle there.
Right here.
Because now he's see how he's back farther. And because of that, there's less room. He's closer to be able to react to a potential lob.
Yeah, so this is the play coming right. This is on the third possession coming out of the half, and I've maintained, aside from the UNC game, because that was a bit weird, that this is actually one of the best jobs this coaching staff has done in recent memory. And it's whether that's because the players are super talented and are making them look good, or because they're making a lot of really good decisions. I mean, going back the Florida State game, that final play, the Louisville game to change the defenses, and now this little wrinkle that they throw out at halftime. Right after halftime, we're going to see Trey Jones here actually flash into the middle and be that person who's in the middle of the zone, and he's going to drop this one. They ran this play, the first play out of the half. Here it is, and Trey's going to do the same thing, except coming from the other side of the floor. That one ended up in free throws. The second attempt ends up in an actual bucket. And so here's why this works, right? We're saying that one of the ways to beat the zone is to get someone into that ACC. So we're going to break down this play. So Trey Jones is out on this side. Here's Trey, and this is currently empty, right? So what we're going to see is Trey is going to sneak in here and then basically try to pull the Syracuse defenders with him this way. All right. And what we're going to get, he's going to move up. Oh, my video froze. So he's going to come from here and move into this. He's going to flash real quick. They're going to try, but they're going to be too late. And he's going to end up dropping the bucket there. So why does this one work?
So one, he gets the shot off super quick. I mean, Trey Jones shooting over Chukwu is an impressive height difference to shoot over. But again, Chukwu is now, you can see him, he's deep. He also doesn't make a great approach when he doesn't really see Jones coming at all. I don't know if there was like a lack of communication. Number 32 for Syracuse, or 33, should have been shouting Cutter, let him know that he's there. I highly doubt. I totally believe that if Chukwu had actually seen Jones coming, the only other option, which hopefully obviously Jones would have recognized, is that Chukwu steps up to try to block it. Then you just do the little dump pass down to Javin for an easy dunk on the baseline. But they left the middle wide open to begin with, and that's really why it was so open. I mean, the center. Normally when we have like post guys, like two post guys playing, like typically you play like a high-low game where guys kind of like work like a triangle formation. But it all starts with getting the ball in the middle. And that's why usually against his own defense, teams will actually have their center, their tallest guy is the guy who like sticks at the top of the key, because he can just get the ball, and from there he can control the pass and basically kick it out to anybody else on the arc that he sees open, because the whole zone will have to collapse on it. Especially if you have a player that can hit, the like 10, 15-foot jump shot from right there, because then it's basically an open shot.
Yep, exactly. And so the zone buster was Zion. Should have been Zion, but in this case we don't. So they're throwing out. I think even Jay Billis commented that you usually don't see this run with a guard, but it worked. It worked for us really well. So all right, we want to switch gears here quick. So we talked about Zion. There was no Zion in this game. Yes, he is injured, and we know that. So what we wanted to do was bring in a friend of ours, Justin, and we wanted to basically let him. So Justin is a Duke graduate from the physical therapy program. He's a doctor of physical therapy, and he's going to basically walk us through and explain to us the sort of the medicine or the physical therapy aspects behind the Zion Williamson injury, and when we may expect Zion back, or some of the rehab that Zion is going through right now at the moment. So I'm going to switch over. We're going to switch this one off, and we're going to switch this one on. And Justin, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right, Justin, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us this evening. So we wanted to give you a chance to give the listeners, the fans, an overview of what. So Zion has a grade 1 right knee sprain. What does that even mean for non-medical people?
So Duke tends to keep these injuries very vague, and they just so the fans don't catastrophize over what's going on with their favorite players. I think the Trey Jones injury to his shoulder, where they came out and said he had a shoulder separation or an AC separation, was the first time in recent memory that I can recall them actually diving into what the injury was. Now with Zion, they're noting a grade 1 knee sprain. When we talk about a sprain of any joint, they're talking about the ligaments, which are your passive restraint. And specifically at the knee, there's one on the inside, one on the outside, and then there's two right in the middle of the joint. That's the biggest one. The most serious one tends to be your ACL. Everybody hears about that with a lot of different injuries, football, even in basketball as well. Now, grade 1, what that tends to mean is there's minor stretching of that. So with grade 1, there is, so what we can tell, and I'm assuming he had an MRI. I don't know that for sure. Again, all of this is pure speculation, because again, they're holding this one pretty close to the vest, the best kept secret in college basketball right now as to the status of his knee. But there is minor stretching of that ligament. So no structural damage. We don't know what ligament is actually involved. Again, one of the other best kept secrets in college basketball. But with a grade 1, one of the ligaments just had some minor stretching when it occurred, when he unfortunately slipped out of the damn shoe.
The damn shoe. Yeah. So, what typically is sort of the rehab process for one of these injuries?
So his rehab probably started immediately with the decision to not bring him back into the UNC game. And so it was something that Nick Potter and Jose on the medical staff for Duke basketball looked at it and probably said, we need this to make sure that, one, there's nothing more serious going on that could truly jeopardize him and his future, as well as we need to make sure that if he can come back, he's going to be ready for what matters most. And of course, we all knew that's March.
Right.
And so his rehab more than likely started right away with swelling and pain down. And so he was and using compression while in the training room during the UNC game while watching on TV. And then the big things after any knee injury, regardless of what ligament it is, it's making appropriate range of motion at the knee, straightening and bending, making sure those are, and then building up his strength around the knee. So your quad, and then building up balance. Whenever a ligament is stretched, again, that's your passive restraint. Whenever it's stretched a little bit, your tends to lose a little bit of sensory information as to where that joint is in space. And so then you have to work to retrain that a little bit. So he's probably working on a lot of dynamic balance and control exercise, relearning how to and pivot and stop on that knee again. So those are some big things that the medical staff is going to want to make sure that he can do and do comfortably and pain and confidently prior to him even stepping foot on the court for a game.
Got it. And so, after one of these types of injuries, is it like are you more prone to other injuries? Can you like if you recover 100%, are you just like ready to go, like nothing happened? Like, what is the risks here?
So the best example recently in Duke memory is so Harry in high school tore his and then right as the day or 2 days before he signed for Duke, he tore his ACL again on that on the other side. And so I believe it was the other side. And so with any type of ligament injury and any injury, so this could be an ankle sprain, this could be a shoulder dislocation, the biggest risk factor of a second injury is a previous injury. And so, yes, he is going to be at slight risk, which is why the medical staff is taking their time. And they've already came out and said he's not playing against Virginia Tech, which, in my opinion, looking at it, one as a biased fan and, of course, two as a medical provider, I think that's the right call. We need to make sure that Zion, feels comfortable and confident with everything that he can do. Because the things Zion can do are things that other basketball players can't do. And so he needs to be at 100%.
Yeah, Eric. So when you I think you mentioned when you saw Zion go down, it's like it doesn't look like an injury for like that serious, and it's like we've seen people tear ACLs, like we've seen like that. This one didn't look that bad.
Yeah, I mean, he walked off under his own power. I mean, you could tell it hurt. I mean, you could see the reaction on his face. But I mean, Justin's right. Like, you never really know. And I think more importantly, Justin touched on a good point is that, it does also coming back. Like, it does matter, like the confidence the player has. I mean, obviously Zion wants to play. He wants to be out there with his team.
Mm-hmm.
But if he comes out there and he's unsure, I mean, that could affect his game. He could, if he comes out too soon and, gets hurt again or some other way, or just accentuates it. I actually, I'd rather not have him out there until he's, completely ready and sure. Because, I mean, can't do a Zion lob if he's afraid to jump. So,
if I was a betting man, I would say he's potentially going to play limited. Who do we play prior to UNC?
We play a game against Virginia Tech, Miami, I think, then Wake Forest.
Yeah.
And then UNC.
And then UNC.
Yeah.
If I was a betting man, I would say he may play some limited minutes if everything in his rehab goes well, and he's progressing as he should. You may see him back potentially for the UNC game. Again, this is just pure speculation based on kind of the time course of these injuries. But if you don't see him back for the UNC, probably don't expect him back until March Madness.
Yep. All right, so for the folks viewing in chat, we're testing out this idea. There should be, if you're on your PC, you should be able to hover over the video player itself, and I think we have a poll there on whether Zion should what he should do for the rest of the season. Of course, our answer is going to be that at some point Zion should play. There was plenty of speculation in the, of course, in the lamestream media out there of wanting to shut it down, but I think that is probably not going to happen based on what we've heard from both coach and basically what we've heard from coach in the post-game comments against Syracuse. And he is a competitor, and he wants to win above all other things. So I think we will see him back. Eric, you as well?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely do. I mean, just like he's described his day to day. I mean, I do think it's also the team is kind of game to game. Like as long as we're doing like we did against Syracuse and like are getting by without him, I think it's that almost like extends the time that he can stay out. Which is why I definitely think, I agree with Justin earlier. He definitely comes back is UNC. Because I mean, I'm not sure at this point I see a real reason why he should come back before then. I mean, the Virginia Tech game, that'll be a decent game. They're ranked number 20. They've been doing pretty well. But yeah, I mean, Miami, Wake Forest. Not so much. I mean, you got to kind of think like you're looking at like the goals of the season, and I know we kind of shift towards banners, so you the first thing you care about is how does this impact our, potential run to the Final Four and national championships, and you kind of work back from there. So yeah, I mean, you're looking at the long haul, you're looking at his NBA career, and then I can't blame him for taking it as super safe as he wants to and taking all the time he needs. So. I mean, he's a once in a lifetime talent, but I mean, hey, we've already gotten him for more games than we had Kyrie, so he's already in the bonus.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, Justin, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Thanks for coming in and talking Zion Williamson with us.
Absolutely, guys. Looking forward.
All right. So we're gonna switch gears here into the final segment, and let's see. We're gonna go like that. Yep. So we have a game coming up against Virginia Tech. It is tomorrow night, the 26th, 4 o'clock for those folks on the West Coast, 7 p.m. on ESPN for the folks on the East Coast. So looking ahead here, we will not have Zion Williamson again. One of the things we figured we would, for those in chat, we can have some fun with this. We wanted to pose the question, what is a Hokie, since nobody seems to know. Other than being some sort of bird or turkey or mascot associated with Virginia Tech, something like that. So if you have any idea of what a Hokie is, go ahead and put that one in chat and and enlighten us, because we don't really know what one is either. So if you have a good idea, we'll read it out. But Eric, Virginia Tech ranked 20th. We're going in 5th in the ACC behind FSU, and those two schools obviously behind this three-way tie at the top between UVA, Duke, and UNC. Right. What are your thoughts here going into the game tomorrow night?
So one important thing that I saw is that one of their top offensive players, Justin Robinson, is supposedly also going to be out. I think he got injured, a foot injury or something. So that definitely impacts them as well. So I guess it kind of, to some extent, the playing field level, if you will, with Zion being out, it brings them down a notch as well. So that helps us out. Obviously, it sucks that a guy is injured. I like beating teams when they're at full strength because, it takes away any asterisks
Yeah.
But yeah, but they've been playing well. But I mean, I think if we're able to play like we did against Syracuse, obviously they're not going to play the same level of a zone defense or anything. But if our role players keep stepping up in their roles the way they were, I think that'll be great. It'll be interesting to see if Joey Baker gets some more minutes, if Jack White comes back, maybe a little more fired up from sitting out. I think it'll be interesting, but I think we shot a little bit better. I mean, thanks to mostly Alex O'Connell. But I mean, we were on a positive trend, and I think we'll be able to match up and handle Green Tech pretty well.
Yep. So the other one, they're two big players, right? Oh, a Hokie. Oh my goodness. That yes, B. Russman. That is an interesting. We're gonna allow that one. A Hokie is what somebody uses to unlock their door, and said in perhaps different terms.
That's good.
Oh my goodness. All right. The two players we know one of them is injured. The other two players to watch out for: Walker and Blackshear. Blackshear, who had a very good game at their last win against Notre Dame. Of course, Notre Dame sort of a down season for them. I think they're 3-11.
Yeah.
Something terrible. But 22 points, 14 boards. Blackshear their forward. My guess here, and Walker being their guard, my guess is that Trey Jones with his defense is going to play Walker. And as you said before, in the first matchup with Syracuse, Tyus Battle put up 32 points. This time only 16. Much better job defensively by our boys, and much credit goes to Trey Jones on that. Granted, again, he did not play in the first one, so Tyus Battle had a field day. Otherwise, guards can have been actually, he's been locking down everyone. So I expect Tyus on Walker. And as far as Blackshear, I haven't quite figured this one out. My guess is Reddish, given how well defensively he's played.
Yeah, it might be one of those ones where they start Reddish on him, and then depending on what kind of game Vinnychek is playing, like how Blackshear is scoring, whether he's doing more from the perimeter, where Reddish could maybe like handle him a little better, or whether he's doing more interior scoring, they might switch. Maybe if he's playing more of a power forward position down in the paint, maybe try to put jab on him and then have someone cover. Either way, they can usually have it as like somebody's always kind of designated to kind of play like a little bit more help defense. Just to kind of have like an actual guy guarding him, but also have some extra help and kind of give one of their weaker players a little bit more room. Other teams do that to us all the time, where they cheat, to help out and guard RJ, which is why we always end up with so many guys open on the 3-point line when RJ drives.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they're intentionally, making that decision, like, hey, Duke doesn't shoot that well,
yeah,
but
guys
RJ's
can't hit it.
Like, yeah, it's like they always say like baseball is a game of numbers, but so is basketball. I mean, you can look at a stat sheet, and shooting percentages a lot of times don't change from game to game, and other teams can see the heat maps and scoring and see where guys are hitting from. So I mean, that definitely influences decisions, and that's what goes into game plan today. So I think like we will probably know where Blackshear is scoring from, and then the kind of types of plays that he's scoring on. Coach K is pretty good about preparing for that. And yeah, I mean, there's always like the time whenever we kind of get upset by a team, there's always that one guy on the other team that has like one of his season high games, where Tyus Battle the other game. There's always one guy in one of these games whenever it's close. So if Blackshear is the guy, to keep under 20, that I'm pretty sure they can focus on that.
Yeah, and I mean the going into the lane and then passing out to Duke shooters who cannot hit it, right? So Cam Reddish 1 for 8 for 3 points in the Syracuse game. Trey Jones 1 for 7. RJ Barrett 2 of 5. Okay, not bad, 40%. Joey Baker missed his only 3, but and of course Javin didn't take any, but 1 for 8, 2 for 15 from Trey Jones and Cam Reddish. I'm expecting Cam to have a bounce back game in this one, because I'm not sure. Maybe Alex O'Connell can save us like from the 3-point line twice. I don't know, but like you would expect that Reddish shoots, and he also shot like field goals 2 for 11.
Yeah.
He played all 40 minutes, and ended up with a total of 5 points. So I'm expecting a bounce back game from Cam. But the other thing to keep in mind, as you mentioned, upsets do happen. We've lost the last 2 times we've gone to Blacksburg, and actually, I guess lucky for us, we're not ranked number one, because every time we are ranked number one and roll into Castle, it seems just like it's a disaster.
Yeah, somehow they've had our number. I don't know why. It's always seemed like one of the games you don't see from what I remember every year. But
Yeah, I mean, if you think back all the way to we were an undergrad, we went into Castle. It was the Nolan Smith team. I think it was the Nolan Smith team in 2015. We were ranked number one. ESPN made this like whole deal about it. They put College Game Day in Blacksburg. They set us up. They completely set us up, right? It was a setup from the beginning. And Seth Greenberg was coaching at the time. They managed to pull off the win. I don't remember if it was like close or if it was not close, whatever. But they end up pulling off the win, and they still don't make the tournament that year. And that was like the knock against Seth Greenberg. They can never make the tournament, but oh god, he beat number one Duke. Virginia Tech is finally going to make the tournament. They don't make it. He gets fired, and he ends up now he's just a talking head. Fanatical announcer.
Yeah.
Not even an announcer. He's just a guy that sits there and talks to Jay. So that's like, but of course, Coach Buzz Williams, a little bit better pedigree. He has made the tournament. He's put this team in the tournament the last several years. A lot of success in Marquette. Their teams always play really high tempo.
right.
Their scoring here. I have 74 points per game and shooting 40% from the three.
That's high.
Yeah. So I mean, we were able to actually defend the three pretty well against Virginia earlier this season.
Right.
But if this turns into like a race, I suppose I don't know if that's necessarily bad for Duke, considering that our athletes love to just get out and run, and especially if we can get into transition.
Yeah. Do you know when Virginia Tech last played? Did they play on Sunday or Saturday?
Virginia Tech, the win against Notre Dame, I believe was on Saturday. I believe it was on Saturday. I think both teams are coming into this with the same amount of rest.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean.
Yeah, but actually, I did see that Duke has had as far as like the 2-day turnaround or 3 days, 2-day turnaround. Which like one of those days is like kind of like the NCAA mandated rest, but like that's the end of the day the players are doing all their schoolwork and usually a travel day because they're with one, they got to travel to Virginia to get there the night before. But Duke has had more of these like kind of 2-day turnarounds or sometimes even a 1-day turnaround weekends than most other teams. I think I saw that Virginia Tech has only done it like 3 times so far this season, which is kind of low. So they might not be as used to the quick turnaround, which I know can have an effect on teams. It can kind of be kind of like a hangover game, if you will. Although this is not your typical like hangover trap game where you play a really tough team on Saturday and then play a lesser team on Tuesday and kind of get caught off guard. It's kind
right.
of like
I mean, if anything, this is the bigger game. Virginia Tech being actually ranked, Syracuse was not, and this team has been ranked for the majority of the season now, at least within ACC play.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. All right. So the matchups to watch again, Walker with Trey Jones, Walker averaging 16 and a half points per game, and then Blackshear and what we probably think is going to be primarily a Cam Reddish averaging 14.6 points per game and was big in their last win against Notre Dame. So I think the prediction is this might be a rather high scoring game, but we are going to need to shoot it well. And again, no Zion Williamson. So
yeah, again, I agree with the high scoring thing. I hopefully that we don't try to come on one of those runs where we just start shooting the ball all of a sudden and then kind of if we go flat because at an away game, especially Virginia Tech, kind of the history of us playing there, like that could also kind of get out of hand, make it seem way worse than it is. I think, if we come out strong in the first 4 or 5 minutes of the game and, even if we shoot evenly with them for that, like that'll, kind of like dull their crowd and dull their own team down a little bit. And especially if we start off the second half, kind of playing strong, kind of like we did against Syracuse. I think those would be kind of like the 2 points to kind of control the momentum of the game and kind of the energy level. Cause our Zion, like our players have said that like Zion was like the source of energy, and I was
Right.
glad to see against Syracuse that they were creating their own energy. Even like Joey Baker, like that's kind of the point of having one of those like that's the value of him coming out is seeing him do that. I'm sure players on the team got fired up. And they're like, hey, if Joey's out here with his 5 minutes doing that, throwing away the red shirt, if you will. If he's willing to do that, we all got to step up. So I think we're on a positive trend right now. I think everyone's going to respond well, and I know Coach K actually interviewed all the players after Zion's injury to see how they were feeling, how they were thinking, and like kind of within it looks like he kind of turned it around, got them all on the same page. So hopefully that's a positive trend that'll continue.
Yeah, exactly. And a couple of parting thoughts here. So we talked about the 40% shooting from three. Virginia Tech, 10 3-pointers a game on average. I mean,
that's why they're shooting 40%.
That's why they're shooting 40%. I mean, like, we could barely. Okay, we hit 9 last game. So,
Yeah.
and 5 of them were Alex's. So, and they shoot the 3 because they got the ball in the paint. So we got to be able to close that down.
Yeah.
All right. In any case, any parting thoughts here for the week as we go forward?
No, nothing super good.
All right, we're good. So we'll be back to do this for after the Virginia Tech game. It's going to be win or lose. The shows when we lose might be a little shorter, but we're going to try to lift up everybody if that is the case. We're not going to lose it tomorrow, though. We're going to win. We're going to have some awesome highlights for you. Probably Thursday night. We'll get back to you guys on that one. And we'll figure out the time and such. But in any case, that's it for tonight. Once again, a great Duke win this past weekend. Looking ahead to Virginia Tech for the Duke basketball postgame report. My name is Ritz. That's Eric. Go Duke and go to Hell Carolina. Good night.
Good night.